Wife almost 6 years, cheated, confessed, and now we're getting a divorce.
Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started.
Wife almost 6 years, cheated, confessed, and now we're getting a divorce. Hi Reddit, I'm here posting my story to vent, get feedback, and maybe help a poor soul who is as blind as myself. Don't know all the lingo, and I'm not the best writer, so forgive me in advance. Also, this may be long, as I'm trying to shrink it down a lot. I, 31 male, was cheated on by my spouse, 28 female. Now getting a divorce. Any advice, comments, perspective, etc. about my story is welcomed and appreciated. I started dating my soon to be ex wife after meeting her at my sister's graduation in 2014. I approached her, started to talk, hit it off, and started dating. Myself at the time didn't understand the concept of red flags, so I didn't know much about what they are and how to identify them. During our dating, she let me know that she had trust issues because of her ex-boyfriend cheating, so that's a deal breaker for her. Since that's also a deal breaker for me, I agreed and told her the same goes for me. Few months into dating, I started to fall hard for her. She was my type, natural beauty with a beautiful smile that captivates, good head on her shoulders, great personality, and fitted in great with family and friends. From my perspective, they all liked her. As weeks went by, I realized she would accuse me of cheating a lot. I assured her that I'm not, by being a front of everything, but that only calmed her for a while, as she would accuse me again. Believing the dream she had was revealing truths I'm hiding. I got upset about it. I told her I would leave if she couldn't trust me and kept doing this. After that, I never heard anything about that during the rest of our dating. Weeks passed after that. She told me she was dating with the intention of being married. I believed in marriage and I wanted to get married as well, so to start a family and have the American dream. So I agreed and we came to an understanding of the end came for us both, which is a life together. Things went well for another few more months until she started bringing up a marriage more and more often. My gut was telling something was off, but ignored it. This all happened to the point where my mom, other family, and friends I grew up with was asking me, when was I going to get married? My family didn't approve dating long term and cohabitation before marriage as I was raised in a Christian home. I saved for a ring to do so as I was weak to the pressures of loved ones. I got a ring, planned surprise engagement, and 2 months later got married. This all transpired a little over a year after we started dating. After our first year of marriage, things was great. At least I thought so at the time. Looking back, she wanted my attention 24/7. As she voiced her concerns on multiple occasions, at first it wasn't a big deal, but as time went by, it was draining. It went as far as her wanting me to stop chilling with my friends because of it. It was to the point she wanted me to cut them off, which I refused, as I didn't see the logical reason to why that would hurt our marriage. Eventually, sex was one-sided, as I am the one always asking. She did not refuse, but the enthusiasm was gone. Found it off again, as my gut kept telling me something wasn't adding up. But I just thought I was overthinking things and I silenced it. Time went by, we worked hard to focus on a bright future together, working to creating the life and the family we wanted. Throughout the marriage, I started realizing that I've being accused of cheating again because of more dreams that she had. And she started bringing up her ex in ways that I believe she was secretly comparing us both. I reached the point that I realized she was also going through my stuff. I wasn't happy with her behavior, so I confronted her about it. We talked about her insecurities and that she needs to address it. She agrees and apologizes. Since I had nothing to hide, allow her to see what she wanted to prove, but I already know true that I'm not cheating. Later, it got to the point where she wasn't really being a wife, but more like a nagging roommate. This eventually led her for confessing that she wasn't ready to be a wife, even though she wanted to be married. I was surprised, a little shocked, but tried to be understanding that being a wife isn't easy, so I did my best to be patient as well. As more time went by, I started to put her on a pedestal, trying to make her happy. Without realizing it, thinking it was my job as a husband to do so. I truly loved her and wanted her to be happy. But man, I was wrong. I soon realized that her happiness was temporary and that I could never make her happy as she's black hole of needs that can never be satisfied. I've always helped with a half of the chores, then more and more till I started getting upset with her for not doing things she agreed to doing. Over the next couple of years, I dealt with her insecurities about herself and her looks. Even though she looks great, nothing wrong with her looks. Daddy issues, ex boyfriend, other childhood traumas pertaining to her mom, and her regret for the abortion she had. This led to my anxiety and depression, which at the time I didn't understand what I was going through, as my happiness and sanity was slowly draining away. Regardless, I keep moving forward because I was blinded by love and believed that I shouldn't give up on my wife, but to help her during her darkest times. I believe this is just a chapter of our life that we can make it through together. We talked about children and how we wanted at least two. She wanted more, but we could not afford any since we were both in heavy student loan debt, credit cards, and other loans from before and during our marriage. We both agreed to wait until we paid down enough debt to start a family, until she changed her mind after listening to her mother. She would argue about it, and I'd say no, we weren't ready yet. But a constant stress of facing a fight coming home wore me down about 3 months later, and with members of both sides of our family wanting grandchildren as well. I crumbled under the stress because I wanted some peace and said to myself, fuck it, here you go. My son was born after 40 years of marriage in 2019, which brought back tons of joy and happiness back to my life. 2020 was a year to remember, hell on earth, being quarantined in homes for safety, new baby, chaos and confusion at work due to the bug, wife dropping to part-time then transferred to a new department with a pay cut and bills being due, along with other things. This deteriorated my mental health fast. Fighting with my wife about how I should take care of our son didn't help as well. With all this driving me almost crazy, I made a last-ditch effort to search for answers and stumbled on the manosphere on YouTube. I found channels like Strong Successful Male First, which lead me to Better Bachelor Coach Greg Adams, True Story, and others. This also lead me to Reddit, which is how I was able to regain some sanity as I slowly understood my chaotic life. Men in the manosphere told me how to help myself, work on my mental health and purpose, so signed up for counseling to change my life. First counseling session, I relieved the built-up pressure. Then 5 days later was D-Day. D-Day arrived. My wife sent our 1-year-old son to stay with her mother for the weekend, with me believing it's time alone together for us. Afterwards, she said, I have something to tell you. As she continued saying, I cheated with a co-worker at the new job. As she spoke those words, I was in disbelief and shock. My thoughts were, she only just started less than 2 months in that department. My world that was held up by the last pillar of strength crumbled. So much emotions was swirling. I left with betrayal, brokenness, depression, anger, confusion, and more, as I lack of will to fight anymore. I wasn't suicidal because I don't believe in self-delusion, but I felt like crap to the point I wanted to crawl into a hole and watch everything fall apart. I lost the will to fight and emotionally checked out. Then I thought of my son and decided he was the only thing left to fight for. So I used a little strength I could muster and tried moving forward. I gave up on my marriage and decided to do it all for my son who needs me. As I reached for more answers to stay afloat, The manosphere helped me to stay strong, and Reddit stories taught me the experiences of other men so I could learn from the mistake of others, help me make better decisions moving forward. I found out that she even lied as I asked for truth 3 times, one every few days apart, and still was got new info each time about the infidelity. Worst parts are first, the lack of remorseful from her. Second, the guy knew more about me than I do of him. Third, blaming me for giving up on the marriage without trying to fix it. I said, I refuse to fix it, something I didn't break. She moved out Feb 2021 of her own free will. I decided to be indifferent to her, and the provocation after she kept pushing my buttons to get a get response. I failed a few times, but finally learned how to be a bit stoic. I told her I'll talk to her only if it involves my son. I filed for divorce. Now she wants 600 per month from me, and I have my son lives with me 90 plus hours per week and only makes 10K less than me. I make 50K and I'm in New York. Should I be worried about losing custody of my son? He is a huge part of my world, and I don't want to lose custody of him less than 50%.